looking at tables, and then we did the border and all those things, stuff. So we will be looking at in our next video. In our next video, we will be looking at forms. But let me open the, what was the name? Let me open it up so you will appreciate whatever we do in the browser. This is where we stopped in the previous video, so we will just continue. As I said, with a table you will be able to give it a background color. You will be able to manipulate it with a lot of properties uh, as you so wish. So you can increase the height, you can increase the weight, you can increase the color, you can margin it, you can padding it. We have done all these things in our journey when we started these tutorials or classes. So sorry, I didn't save, so I'll just go back, save, refresh, and you can see the table is having its own background color. So we are done with tables. We are going to our next video, which is um, forms, or our next thing, which is forms. We also looked at HTML forms. So let me just walk you through HTML forms. So HTML forms. We said forms are HTML element or tags that are used to process data of clients. So for instance, if I go to your site or if I go to your application and you want me to log in, you automatically ask me my username and password, which is normal. If I want to interact with your system, you ask me for information. All those informations are entered into a text box, and the text boxes are found on forms. Okay, so we did HTML forms along the line. Just as a way of recap, if you want to do forms, you just click or type forms. Okay, you just type forms and then you select. Now we have action. This action, we will come back to it. Take note of it. This is where you are going to put your PHP code that is going to do the magic in the connection between your PHP and your database when we get there. So take this one into consideration. We come to action and we come to method, which is equal to post and all those things, or get and dialog. We look at it, but we are just looking at building the HTML interface. And we did forms. Okay, forms. We have several form elements. We have labels, we have input types like text, numbers, emails, and we have gone through. Just to do few, let's do this. First and foremost, if you want to create an attention for the person, let's say we are creating a form for user registration, you can just say label, and then we label the thing as user registration form. Okay, user registration form. If I just save this, and go and refresh the form, this is what will happen. User registration form. Let me clear the other part so it doesn't distort what we are doing. Okay, so now I will save it and say we have our label as user registration form. You can decide to center, you can decide to do anything with the information. That is why CSS will come in styling your work. But we have inline CSS, external CSS, and then internal CSS. So along the line, we will be doing the external CSS, where we will link our work to the VS Code editor form you are working on at the moment. But let's look at currently just designing the form. So you can give your form an ID, of which we mentioned ID and classes. If you are using ID, you have to go with the hash whenever you are in the CSS. If you are using class, then you have to go with dots whenever you are in CSS. So I'll just give this a label tag, or let me say user label. The name that you use in your ID, or the name you use to identify the tag, is the same name you use when you go to your CSS, so you will be able to implement a change or effect. Okay, now after the label, what next? You are going to put the details, let's say username and password. So we are just creating a form that will work for username and a password registration. So what do I do? Input. Sorry. input. Okay, so the input, we are going to have a test. Since it's going to accept username and then password, we are going to say input test. You can have several properties, of which I've taught you unless you have forgotten. Several properties, like for instance placeholder, where you can say enter your username, for instance, like this. When I save this and run or refresh, this is what we are going to get. Enter your username. Okay, but you can decide to give it a break from here, of which some of these things I will not explain again because you know the break. So you can decide to give it a break, maybe one or two, sorry, one or two, like this. Now when I go and refresh, I will see it on the next line. Maybe the form you are designing, you want it to have some, see, when you click inside, the enter username will not go away. Okay, but oh sorry, as soon as you start typing, oh, as soon as you start typing your name, the enter username will go, which is, I mean, not logic what the person is really typing. So you can just start by giving it enter your name or username, like this. So it's in a placeholder though, but you still have it as a label. Okay, it's in a placeholder though, but I still have it as a label, like this. So when I start typing in my name, it will not vanish, but you still know what you are working on. You can decide to give it a break, or sorry, you can decide to give it a break, or you can decide to give it that space. N, sorry, N B P N. Okay, let's continue. So we have the username, and then the next thing is password. So I can say enter, sorry, enter your password. Okay, enter your password. Then I will now bring input. This one too will be test, and then I'll just say placeholder. Maybe I'll do the same thing for this placeholder. Enter your password. Okay, like this. If I don't want it to be on the same now, I can just give this one to a break. I'll save that one, come to my browser, refresh it, and I have this. Now they are not, I mean, nicely arranged. I can decide to give it another break, like this, save it, and see that it will give it a break small. Now if you want to let all the text boxes be the same, you can decide to give it an ID inside here. Okay, for now we are not doing external CSS, so let's tackle them one by one. So we just do inline CSS. So we do style and say weight, maybe weight, we want 100 px for this, and then the height, we want 100 px for this as well. We can implement the same thing for this so that they all have the same properties. So style weight 100 px, and then go back to this place, height, we give it a 100 px as well, like this. We save it, and we are expecting that all the height and weight will be the same. So they are the same, just that how we specified it is how we have gotten it. So we will now increase the height, sorry, we will decrease the height and increase the weight to, let's say, 200, and this one will be like 20. So this one will be like 20, and this one will be like 200. And anyhow you want your work to do, that's how you do it. You can see. So now if we look at the username and password, you can see that the text boxes are not nicely arranged. We learned a property about padding, so you can just padding that of the password small, so you can say padding, or if padding doesn't really use margin, you can say padding right, padding right. So padding right, let's say 5 px. Okay, so padding right 5 px, you can see it has moved it a bit. But then if in reality it's not padding you want, you can just do margin, so it moves the thing because they already have the same properties. So if you do padding, it's going to increase the uh, so margin, let me see, didn't move, so I'll just move, make sure it's margin left. We'll do the margin left 10 px. So go refresh it. Okay, so I've gotten it nicely moved. Okay, this is how I want it. So if you have other input fields that you want to do, you can just do all those things. How about if I want to put all the form elements inside one what's the name, border? I can just come to the form and define a border for it. So I can just say style border, and then I'll say maybe 5px. If I do this, what will happen is I'm expecting the entire form to have a border. It didn't come. Border, border radius. Sorry. So let me say border radius 10px. Save it. Refresh. For why? Okay, so wait, let me do this. So I want to give the entire form a border. So 1 minute. Okay, so let's do it this way. When we get to external CSS, we will try that, but then let's try and do this inline CSS to get the border and see how it works. 1 minute. So use the border property, So just say border. Yeah, the border property should work. So border, let's say 100 px, 100 px. It's supposed to be the border property. Alright, let me see if background will work. So background color aqua, just to see whether it is working after saving. Okay, so it's working after saving. So the border property should also work. Okay, so let's do the border this way. I'll just give the border as 2px, right? Then we just say solid, and then we give the color as, let's say, red, and then we terminate. Save. Good. Here we go. So now we have given it a border of 2px, and then we have given the border the form to a background, as you can see. But we can decide to shrink the size or shrink the entire form. So what we can do is to give the form a weight. Sorry, it should be in the style. Can give it a weight, and then we say maybe 80 px. Okay, now we just refresh it, and it has distorted everything. So we have to just increase this thing to about 200. Correct, and then save. Now it's some way, but it's not how we want, so maybe we can make it like 250. Okay, 250 maybe we'll do the magic, and there we go. Okay, so if you are okay with it, you decide to, oh no, enter your username and all has come to the next line. You don't want it that way, so you want to do like maybe 400. You want to do like 400 so it doesn't squeeze it. Nice. Then if you have more information, we can do it here. If you don't have more information left, you can break it so there is a space at the bottom. Okay, so there is a space at the bottom. Just go there, refresh, and there we go. If you have a save button, you can decide to enter that save button as well. So that is done using button. Just do like this and say save. Okay, save, save, and there we go. You can decide to position that one also at a location that will actually make sense to the user. Okay, if the position it is not nice to you, you can decide to pattern it to the left, to the right, by giving it a style. So all this thing we are doing is to give you a heads up. So style, then you can say margin left, let's say 90 px. Okay, 90 px. That is going to move it from that position to, so I can decide to say okay, go 100, so it goes right under the form input. No, it's too small. I'm sure you are following. You have to practice it. You don't just watch it, you practice it along. Okay, now I'll just refresh this. Oh, it's too much, so I'll just do like 150, 150. Okay, so let me say 130. I like maybe 130. 132. Okay, 140. I want it to be just right by the input tag, something like this. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. If not, then I'll do like 145. It's fine. So that is how to do forms. So all we are doing is forms. If you want to do like maybe cancel, if you don't want the person to save, you can do cancel button as well. So instead of saving, you can say cancel, cancel. Okay, and remember, you are padding that one to let's save and see the effect. You see, so if that one the padding is too much, you can reduce that one by, let's say, 100, so it gets close to the cancel, the save. Nice. You have gotten your form nicely designed, and so you can even move the entire form to the center if you want, and that you tackle it from the mother form tag, from the mother form tag, this one. So you come to the main form tag and add another attribute by saying maybe margin, and then say margin left to maybe 400 px or pixels. You save this, you go back, you refresh the page, and you see that the entire form will be moved 400 pixels. If it is too much, you leave it. If it is okay, you leave it. At this point, you can padding it to the bottom as well. You can padding it to the bottom as well. So I want to just say padding top. So I want to add padding top. Let me say 200 ps, just to make sure it is not close to the border or to the top. Okay, sorry, it's supposed to be margin top. So I'll just say margin top, margin top. If it doesn't work that way, then it's going to be margin bottom, but it's supposed to be margin top. Fine. So we have it. So now it's in the middle. Perfect. So if this is not username, if this is not registration form, then we can make it, let's say, login, because it's just fit for a login. So we can just say user login form. Then instead of login, we can, instead of save, we can say login or cancel. Okay, we save it, we refresh, and there we go. And so this is how to create a simple login form. Thank you, and then see you in the next video. We have recapped a lot in HTML. See you in the next video where we will be doing a bit about CSS, and then we move